of Inktober. We're only on day 5. I feel a little bit worn out, but that is because I've been doing a live stream in the daytime and recording the rest in the evening. I've gone around and coloured the one from yesterday. If you missed that one, that it was recorded, just the black and white version for the sketch version, as we call it. But if you are new to the channel and you don't know anything about Inktober, Inktober is a challenge for everybody that's an illustrator of any sort, whether you're beginning or if you're a pro. Then you can each day, you get a prompt for each day of the month and 31 days of October, which is now called Inktober for me forever and forever. Because I'll be doing this every year. If you missed last year's where we did 2019, today we're going to be doing 2020's list, and we've already done fish, wisp, bulky, radio was yesterday, and today the word is blade. Well, I was thinking maybe of possibly going into the more of the sort of blade aspect of like the Marvel hero, but I thought no, I like the plan, I like the way that his stance is and things like that. So I've got a few references here. Let's just actually turn that brightness down so you may be able to see them. I am recording all of this, so just a second. Alexa, set me 50 minutes on a timer.
Sorry, I don't know that one.
Alexa, set me 50 minutes on a timer.
50 minutes, starting now.
Because we are live, but I am recording. Again, when I record, all I do is I show you everything, but I do it sped up. You don't get all of the chatty and things like that. You just get to see the illustration. And at certain points, I may give you a zoom in and things like that. I can do this live, but it's a lot more of a faff. But because we are using the PS4 and the share factory. Can you see that? Well, you might be able to see that when I pop them out. But yeah, I think we've got a few comments coming in, so let's check those quickly before I carry on. Because once I've started, we'll be listening to some more of the story that we have been listening to. Which is DC Crisis. Oh, hello, buddy. You're welcome back from yesterday and the polymer clays that you were chatting about me yesterday. Yeah, buddy. How you doing? Like I said, the comments are open. I bet I'll be flashing back and forth between the comments and the prompt. Not the prompts. The what are they called? Oh my god, the pictures, should we say, that I'm using. Because what I find is I'm not professional in any shape or form, but I am able to follow another picture, if you know what I mean. A reference, that's the word I was looking for. I will always use a reference, even probably when I become a pro of any kind of sort. I am selling illustrations and things like that if you are interested, from last year or from this year. I can't offer the digital that I did promise from last year. That is because the PC's broken now. That's while I'm selling my artworks. Also, I'll make polymer clay. We've already had one customer already. If you want to check out that, check out my very first paid customer up in the playlists, or just type it in the search engine. But we've got a few pictures of Blade himself. But I didn't want to copy the whole, he's standing. I like the coat there, but I like because the way the coat is flowing, maybe you can zoom in on that, but where the coat is flowing there, I like that. But I thought to myself, as I'm already kind of creating my own story, why not have a go at trying to draw without a pencil, because that is the challenge of Inktober, where you've got let's start from the very beginning of day 1 of Inktober. Inktober was just a fun thing that an illustrator put out and said, here's 31 prompts, try and do one every single day, and that was it. And the idea was not to use a sketch. Never to use a pencil to sketch with, so you couldn't sketch anything. It had to be clear and fresh from your mind. The rules have been bent since then, because people have obviously complained and said, I can't draw without a sketch. Well, the idea of Inktober is so you draw without a pencil and use your skill, because you can't remove a pen. I mean, there is the ways of erasing a pen, but that's the idea is If you think it's there, draw it. If it looks crap, it looks crap. If it looks good, it's good. You can change it. You can do whatever you want to it. It's the same way as sketching, just you're using a pen to do it instead. Where I like the idea of never using a pencil, because I always use a pencil, because the idea of me is Mondays I will do a sketch, and then on Tuesdays I will ink that sketch, so you'll see the difference between what a sketch can be and what you can do over it with ink. And then on Wednesday, I'll always colour that one in. But today, and for all of Inktober, I am doing a ink, just no pencil, ink, sketch, picture. Then I'm darkening the lines with all these other things. And I'm also going to be using different colours and shades off stream. So don't forget to hit that bell and subscribe if you're new to see the finished of all of the pictures. Again, I do colour them, but I don't do it on stream. I only do the black and white version on stream. But you do get to see them over on TikTok and Instagram. So yeah, let's get some slurping. I think there was a couple more messages in, but that's the reference I'm kind of looking for. Kind of leaned over, stabbing a sword into the ground, but not a knight. We're going back to what my creations are. Again, we're going to be doing Morningscape with the wing sword. I'll get a reference in a second, but I'll open those comments while I do so. We have got music today, which I finally got working again yesterday. Now there's Morningscape himself, and I did make a little glove for him, or claw glove sort of thing. I'm going to try into, as it's blade, he holds a blade, the wing sword. So that's what I'm going to be. That's what my thing is going to be for, blade. That's when people say blade. It could have been an axe from God of War, because I've drawn one of those before. But again, I've drawn one of those before for you on stream. So I'm trying to keep it fresh and keep in new ideas. But this is because this is my story. I'm trying to develop and make into a sort of comic world, maybe just things like that. And yeah, so this is Morningscape and with his wing sword. So let's put the reference in Word here for blade, and then we can get rid of this, put this underneath. Really hope I spelled that properly. Probably didn't. And I put a big A because I can't spell. Right. Yeah, if you haven't heard of, if you haven't seen these, you can see me make this from the ground up, almost, pretty much, with starting with absolutely nothing, then getting the core and making that out of tin foil, like you've seen many times before, I would imagine, and then getting over with the clothes and sort of how to make him stand up, because he isn't freestanding, he will fall over without that skateboard, and that's sort of part of his character. He has a skateboard, sort of gets around, and that's sort of how he gets around the speeds. If you saw the VR version where the glove was involved, I actually put it on the wrong hand, but the glove he was holding, and it sort of emitted a force shield of light, sort of some sort of thing. If you saw that in the VR version, if you haven't, go and check it out. That is in the All VR Create playlist. I've added them a little bit of snippets in the how to draw, or when I drew Morningscape for the first time. That picture is in this book, but we're getting on with time. So let's get on with this. Let's have a look at that. Yeah, let's just answer my query there. But yeah, let's get on with some more drawing. Listen to some more of the Crisis. Let's actually listen. What is it actually called? DC Final Crisis audiobook part 2 is what we're going to be listening to. I am going to be using references. I'm going to move Morningscape over here again, so I can actually use my phone, because I need a flat image, because what I drew last time I didn't quite like, because I was trying to use that as the base. That's not flat, that's 3D. Let's go.
Playing from me, SMT2020.
It's while I tell you all about it. I keep thinking I've made such a mess of things, Tawny. Billy's gone, Mary's disappeared.
As Captain Marvel Jr., Freddy had once fought beside his friends, Captain Marvel and Mary Marvel. But everything changed when the wizard Shazam, who had endowed all of them with their powers, died a few years ago. Billy Batson, aka Captain Marvel, had been forced to take the wizard's place at the Rock of Eternity, absenting himself from Earth, while Billy's sister Mary had lost her powers in the process. Unable to accept the loss of her special abilities, Mary had set out on a dangerous quest to regain her lost powers, no matter what. Freddy hadn't seen or talked to her in months, but he had heard disquieting rumors that she had gotten mixed up with some very bad
They're going to
magic.
be adding the wings. Maybe I should go that sort of way.
To keep the darkness at bay.
And have the image
What's
there.
become of the Marvel family? Maybe I should just say my
Not forgetting I will be doing the live TikToks as well. Well, not live TikToks, but doing the TikToks as I go along. So he's there. The morning skate with his wings hanging out. So
Freddy had been forced to undergo a series of arduous
he'd
trials
be,
to prove himself worthy
get
of
at
his
you.
former gifts. Now,
He'd be
as he got an
standing
encouraging
down,
word from Tommy,
sort of
he
whatever.
said,
Let's just kneel down. Right, and then he'll have his wings coming out, but it won't be because he's 3D. He'll be here, and the wings. Okay, right. Alright, whoa. Oh, I just knocked the camera. Let's get you back there.
Her bright red, blue, and yellow costume resembled that of her celebrated cousins,
Oh, damn.
down to the flowing red cape and the world-famous S on her chest. Kara Zor-El's long golden hair dangled before her eyes as the ginger cat rubbed its head against her crimson boots.
There we go. Sorry about that.
Blue miniskirt and cropped top showed off her bare legs and midriff. A laptop sat on the coffee table in her cluttered apartment. Oracle's emergency email was still displayed on the screen.
I'll be back soon, Streaks. I have to go pick up Lois and Jimmy.
Ooh, I'm going to have to move that there, I think, so I can see a bit better.
And don't you dare pee in my laundry basket again.
Star City.
A draft notice?
Oliver Queen crumpled a piece of paper in his hand. He was stretched out on a rumpled king-sized bed wearing nothing but a pair of Lincoln green boxers. A blonde mustache and goatee failed to conceal his exasperation. A picture window offered a striking view of snow-capped mountains.
What about tracking down John's murderers? Hey, if they want me, I have a JLA signal device in my belt buckle.
I'm dressing you, Oliver.
Dinah Lance zipped up the front of her costume, depriving her husband of yet another spectacular view. Her wavy blonde hair was provocatively mussed. Black fishnet stockings flattered her limber legs.
I'll draw the sword in first, and then I wear the size of everything else. Where's the sword? Let's have a look. It's going to be about that big, I wonder.
Canary ride again.
Oliver climbed out of bed and pulled on his working clothes.
If anybody falls for this authoritarian, militaristic crap, it'll prove I'm absolutely right about absolutely everything.
Yes, dear.
Washington, D.C. Alan Scott had to admit that Oracle had really delivered. Only a few hours had passed since President Thorne had invoked Article X, but already the Hall of Justice was playing host to the largest assemblage of heroes Alan had seen since Black Adam last declared war on the entire world. The Justice League, the Justice Society, the Teen Titans, the Outsiders, and the Shadow Pact had all answered the call. He looked out over a sea of brave, determined faces.
I'm proud of you. All of you. Let's see any enemy stand against us.
If only they knew where the enemy was. Tokyo. Storm clouds piled ominously above Narita Airport. A private jet waited on the tarmac as the stretch limo parked several yards away. Shallow Norman and Sonny Sumo emerged from the limo.
And so, 3 days later, I crawled out of my own grave. The whole world thought it was Mr. Miracle's biggest stunt ever, but it was real. What I did was impossible.
For men, perhaps. Maybe not for Motherbox.
As they walked toward the plane, Shallow raised the phone-sized device. Sonny leaned forward, cocking his head as though listening to Motherbox. It seemed to him that he could almost hear something from the mysterious gadget, just at the very fringe of perception. It was like the box was talking straight to his unconscious mind, bypassing his more skeptical forebrain.
He's starting to believe me. Just when I have to leave Japan.
I believe you believe, and I can't deny there's something special about that box of yours. I'll be thinking about what you said. Maybe I can just about buy the idea that the powers of evil have got their hooks into the world. But what makes you think a sumo wrestler and an escape artist are the ones to fight back? Showbiz people?
I don't think we have a choice.
Shiloh tucked Mother Box back into his jacket pocket.
I don't think anybody has.
He's marking things out.
Seems to be we're all
So we've got the head, the right arm or left arm,
To see a squadron of
the
armed
hips,
soldiers closing in on them.
and the legs,
Helmets with blown visors
or the knees, I'm thinking.
One of them lifted a rocket launcher onto his shoulder.
Shiloh, down!
They threw themselves onto the pavement, just as the rocket passed overhead, striking the jet.
We'll have wings coming out, but I'll do those at a later date once I've drawn the picture in, because we're there of thing from behind. So that will be a bit easier once I've got the shape of the person. Whew, right, get that sweet and gob and get a drawing. Hopefully you'll enjoy the Final Crisis of DC while I get drawing. Again, you can leave some comments coming in. I will check them in the next 15 minutes. So Alexa, set me timer for 15 minutes. Alexa, set me a timer for 15 minutes.
Second timer. 15 minutes. Starting now.
Okay. Got the sword. Kind of want the sword to be on that side though, with the wings.
They knew that they didn't stand a chance unless they got away from your scene. They were unarmed and badly outnumbered.
Hey, Mr. Miracle! Super escape button! This would be a good time for a miracle!
Sonny wasn't sure, but it seemed to him that the armored goons were trying to take them alive. After shaking off a mass of clinging terrorists, Sonny raised his arm to shield his eyes as the headlights came zooming toward him.
That works.
That has nothing to do with me. A snazzy silver sports car burst through the spurting flames. Its streamlined aerodynamic design boasted chrome trim and a domed windshield. Glowing blue hubcaps spun like pinwheels. A stocky young man wearing a glowing green breastplate, whom Sonny vaguely remembered from the nightclub, stuck his head and shoulders out through the vehicle's open sunroof.
We waited and waited for your autograph, Super Sumo-san! Finally, we could wait no more! Jump aboard!
Sonny and Shiloh didn't need to be told twice. They clambered into the getaway car, where they found a whole crew of garishly costumed boys and girls crammed into the car's white bucket seats. Now that they had succeeded in capturing Sonny's attention, he belatedly identified the rescuers as some of those new celebrities/superheroes who were so inexplicably popular with Japan's youth. The car took off down the runway with Sonny and Shiloh aboard.
Wait, I can't believe it!
Shiny, happy Aquazon's chartreuse pigtails bobbed vigorously.
Really, in the Wonder Wagon with Mr. Miracle. I have a picture here on my phone.
Don't forget Sunny Sumo!
Atomic Lantern Boy was squeezed into the back seat between Sonny and well-spoken Lightning Flash. A tiny winged girl hung onto the latter's helmet for dear life. Behind them, the armored terrorists had piled into an open flatbed truck and took off after them. Sonny realized that the war Shiloh had spoken of had caught up with them, and then some. He extracted his own phone from his pocket.
Maury, cancel my fight with Killer John tonight. No, can't do it. That's right. I'm on a mission from the gods.
Shiloh rode shotgun beside most excellent Superbat.
Listen to me. You kids saved our lives, and that's cool. But you can't get mixed up in this.
A glance in the rearview mirror confirmed that the truckload of terrorists was rapidly gaining on them. Concrete barricades blocked their path directly ahead. They were running out of tarmac.
Superbat, or whatever you call yourself, we need to get off this runway and locate the authorities.
Behind the wheel, Superbat grinned.
Excuse me. We are the Super Young Team.
Without warning, the Wonder Wagon tilted backward, pulling Sonny back against his seat, and took off into the sky. Rockets flared from the flying car's undercarriage, leaving twin contrails behind them as the Wonder Wagon climbed toward the heavens. Its wheels flipped into a horizontal position parallel to the ground below. Their luminous rims spun like jet propellers. Peering out through the window, Sonny was amazed to see the airport and then all of Tokyo shrink away beneath them.
Whoa, again.
We've done this sort of thing before.
Bloodhaven. The blasted city was even worse than Wonder Woman remembered. She was shocked at how little progress had been made in rebuilding the disaster site, or even tearing down the ruins. Displaced families filled the impoverished refugee camps on the outskirts of the city, Weathered tents and trailers housed the homeless survivors of the catastrophe. Campfires burned in rusted metal barrels. Diana bent down to give a pigtailed little girl a hug.
We'll find you and your mother a much better place to live, Jayla. I promise.
But what about everybody else?
Reverend Good says we all got to have faith. But I'm still waiting for faith to buy us a ticket out of this garbage dump.
Jayla's mother peered wistfully across the polluted Avalon River, dividing the camp from the devastated waterfront beyond.
Our home is back there.
Yeah, well, nobody's going home in Bloodhaven for a long time.
Sergeant Gardner Gray of the Atomic Knights pointed across the river. A barbed wire fence marked the perimeter of the restricted zone.
Official cleanup still only stretches as far as the Whaling Museum over there at Renfield. And there are only 125 of us Knights patrolling the wall.
A trio of Knights had met Diana at the border. Their medieval-looking armor protected them from the toxic mists wafting across the polluted river, and their tinted visors let them see past their crested helmets. The giant mutated Dalmatians they rode snuffled at the plastic feed barrel.
Nevertheless, I'd like to go in a little way.
Diana had no way of knowing for certain that the troubles in Bloodhaven were linked to Orion's death, John's murder, and the other distressing events of the last few days. But right now, every fiber of her being was telling her that the font of their recent woes lay hidden somewhere within the blighted wasteland before her.
We're required by federal law to accompany you into contaminated territory. Sure you don't want to wait for the Shade super troops to get back from reconnaissance?
We may not have time for that, Sergeant.
Grail and his fellow knights knew better than to attempt to obstruct Wonder Woman. They rode their canine steeds alongside her as they made their way past the outer barriers. Only a single concrete bridge to cross the river into Bloodhaven. Wonder Woman and the Atomic Knights had the multi-lane bridge to themselves before setting foot on the toxic soil beyond. Diana's boots stirred up clouds of ash and dust. She didn't want to think about how much of those ashes had formerly been flesh and blood.
Command D is a gene weapons test site they built under cover of the rubble at Chemo Ground Zero. Some local crime lords hold up in there. And Uncle Sam has too much invested in the research, so airstrikes are out, super soldiers in. These pony dogs of ours are a direct result of Command D research.
Excuse me, Wonder Woman? I don't mean to interrupt, but this is such an honor. You've been such a total inspiration to me. Marine, my name, Marine Harold.
I'm proud to have you at my side in this graveyard, Marine. Wait, what is that ahead?
Dead men were strewn across the debris. They hung lifelessly from tilted streetlights, or lay sprawled across the gore-soaked rubble in various stages of dismemberment. Shattered bones jutted from ruptured rib cages. Severed heads and limbs littered the landscape.
Oh, God. Have you ever seen a man turned inside out before?
Unfortunately, yes.
Grail rode forward to inspect the bodies.
The Shade operatives. I met this guy. Said his name was Replica.
The knight looked around.
Dear God, I think they're all him.
You're right.
Although the grisly state of the carnage had initially obscured this fact, closer inspection revealed that the scattered victims were all the same man.
Clones? Or some sort of duplication ability? I wonder if there are any copies still breathing. What's this?
Diana looked up to see a solitary figure descending from the sky.
Back up! Someone's coming!
The figure landed atop a nearby pile of rubble. Diana's eyes widened at the sight of a buxom young woman in a black latex leotard, cut high on her hips, a black cape with dark red trim about her shoulders. Stubble dotted her scalp, which had been shaved bald except for a pair of knotted pink pigtails. A thunderbolt-shaped cutout on her chest exposed cleavage of grotesquely exaggerated proportions. Thigh-high black boots rested atop 10-inch stiletto heels, and magenta circuit diagrams adorned her glossy black corset.
I did it. It was bad me. Hey there, pretty Princess Diana. Guess what?
Mary Marvel? What's happened to you?
It's simple, really. I just couldn't stand being wholesome and plain and boring 1 second longer. It's amazing what they can do at the Flesh Farm at Command D. Don't worry. You'll see for yourself soon enough.
Razor-tipped gloves slashed at Diana's face, but the Amazon princess deftly twisted away so that the claws only grazed her shoulder. But Mary's explosive trajectory carried her straight through Marine Harold. splitting her in two before either Diana or the other knights even realized what was happening.
No!
A random slice of Mary's claws decapitated the dead woman's steed as well. And the headless Dalmatian crumpled to the ground.
Oh God! Oh my God!
The other knights wheeled about in confusion, their energy lances firing aimlessly. Mary circled back in midair and grabbed onto a handful of Wonder Woman's hair.
Yes!
An Amazon bracelet deflected Mary's claws, and Diana followed with her free fist.
You don't even sound like Mary Marvel anymore.
Her broken arm dangling uselessly, Mary struck back with her left. Wonder Woman caught the punch in her palm, incandescent blue sparks flying.
Time to end this, before anyone else gets hurt.
Crushing Mary's fist in her grip, Wonder Woman forced the corrupted heroine to her knees.
Marie's dead! She killed my sister!
Step aside, Wonder Woman.
The knights aimed their energy lances at Mary.
No! Please, Mary, tell me what's happened to you.
I do what Darkseid tells me now. They've been hiding in human bodies, you stupid bitch! You're too late!
In human bodies? Eternal Hera, that's why we couldn't find them.
You screwed up. In 5 minutes, the anti-life equation goes global, and the whole world is ours!
The anti-life equation?
The equation was said to be a mystic formula that granted its possessor absolute power. Darkseid had been searching obsessively for it since time immemorial. Was it now at his disposal?
Like I said, don't worry.
Mary wrested her fist free.
You'll be working for Darkseid, too.
Mary made no effort to continue their battle, but merely opened her hand to reveal a shattered glass vial atop her palm. The Greek letter Omega was etched upon a glass fragment. Eerie blue fumes rose from the broken vial.
We needed a delivery system. We needed a disease carrier.
The septic fumes invaded Diana's bloodstream through the gashes in her shoulder. She dropped limply to her knees, even as Mary Marvel rose to her feet once more.
And that's you, Wonder Woman.
The Atomic Knight's laser blasts bounced harmlessly off her latex-clad frame. Washington, D.C. Alone in the JLA's communications center, Oracle kept watch over the world. A face with a T-shaped black mask appeared on one of the myriad monitor screens.
Oracle, this is Mr. Terrific at the castle. Can you check on something?
Michael Holt was said to be the third smartest man in the world, although nobody could agree on who the first two were. A valued member of the Justice Society, he also served as the current White King of Checkmate.
Way ahead of you. Huh, something really weird is happening.
A progress bar on the computer screen directly in front of her tracked another transmission that had just registered on her radar. Download 15% complete, her software reported ominously. The bar was darkening from left to right.
Michael, it looks like someone in Bloodhaven just sent an email. To every single address on the planet Earth. This is impossible.
Like the ultimate spam, the message bypassed the JLA's own security filters to land directly in her inbox. She wondered if she dared open it.
Oh, crap, it's opening itself! Michael, alert the troops while I try to do something from here.
The spam blew through her firewalls like they weren't even there. To her horror, she saw that the same transmission was simultaneously spreading to every TV screen, radio receiver, public address system, cell phone, PDA, and GPS unit on Earth. In-flight movies, scratchy subway loudspeakers, department store music systems, and even comic book message boards were being hijacked to transmit the insidious mass mailing.
Warning. Virus uploading.
The Greek letter Omega began to flash across nearly every screen in front of her. The progress bar was almost black.
We have to shut it down. We have to kill the net.
Theoretically, that was impossible. But both the JLA and Checkmate had access to advanced extraterrestrial technology that left earthly science in the dust.
Pull the plugs! Pull the plugs before it's too late!
It was exactly 5:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time when the world cracked open. Keystone City. Later.
Sorry. Later.
Right where they had started, at front of that abandoned strip club in a bad part of town. destruction left a trail of smoking blacktop behind them.
Wow.
Even for the fastest men alive, that had been quite a run. Wally wasn't sure, but he thought they'd overshot the present, ending up a few weeks in the future. Glancing back over his shoulder, he was relieved to see no trace of the fearsome black racer.
I guess we outran him.
For now.
Wally looked over at the other man, whose hands were on his knees, stretching his legs. So much had happened, and so quickly, that Wally hadn't really had a chance to process it.
Barry? Is it really you? Talk to me, Uncle Barry.
Barry stared at his own reflection in a greasy puddle.
We couldn't save Orion, Wally. His murder had already happened. So why? I was dead. Why did I have to come back?
He stood up and looked around.
Wally, what have they done to the world?
Glancing about, Wally saw that Keystone City had changed dramatically for the worse since he was last here. All the shops were closed and boarded up. Weeks' worth of rotting garbage was piled high on the sidewalks. Flames flickered on the horizon. The air reeked of smoke and decay.
Yeah, I need to stop there. Alexa, stop. Yeah, I need to stop there and sort of have a quick fresh, take a look away from that, because I can, there's lots going on there. The arm there is kind of freaking out, but what I was trying to do was have it holding it with his sleeves. So the sleeves are kind of confusing the arms and the rest of it, but I'm sure I'll get round, figure out around about it. So where would it be dropping is what's confusing me. Because that's okay. And I'm thinking the hood, but I'm trying to make sure the head. Oh, the morning skate just actually texted me. Just give me a second. What are you saying in chat before I go? Oh, what am I drawing? If you're still watching there, well, I'm drawing Morningscape, but I'm drawing him with the blade, or the wing blade, because today's prompt word is blade. Have a slurp of me tea. I'm going to put that down.
So just cheap about alcoholism in that place that has all the rice. Filthy cockroaches and thieving wee gypsies in that place.
Okay, why is he sending me this? Your desktop. He's just showing me what picture this is Morningscape, everybody. This is my son, and as he just put that on his desktop. How awesome is that? Now that's a little bit of inspiration. Man, there's the head. It is a demon's head, or it is a horned head. So maybe I could incorporate that he's looking up instead of looking down. How was the stream? Just reply to him to say we are still streaming. I'm still streaming now, live. That's an awesome picture. It got well done. Well, good find. Join. You fool. Let's go back here. Right, so that picture kind of inspired me a little bit, but a demon's head. So that's how a demon's head would look as well. Because as you see here, Monoskate has got himself some horns. And he's got quite a long face. That kind of might work to my advantage. Try to put in the hood as well. Because now I've got the shape. I don't want the head to be looking down like that. I just wanted him to be in that kind of on the kneeling down pose. Stabbing the sword into the ground. So there's the ground, and say it's stabbed in. And it's cracking the ground. Like that. The wing sword. And I'll have a little bit of a katunk up here as well. To cover that bit up because that looks ugly. Right, let's get into the drawing that I want to draw. More cloth here. But it'd still be going this way. Because his jacket's always open. Let's get that plane in the background again.
That had killed Barry so many years ago. Granted, this was a seamy neighborhood, but how could things have gotten this bad this fast? A newly erected billboard answered their questions. Live for Darkseid, the sign read. Die for Darkseid.
Darkseid. Darkseid's falling, dragging the whole universe down as he goes. The entire structure of existence. The whole multiverse, Wally.
Wally was still trying to get over the whole back from the dead thing.
Barry.
He reached out and took hold of his uncle's shoulder. Barry felt reassuringly solid, not like a mirage or ghost at all. Wally searched his mentor's face.
Listen to me. You were dead, Barry. We never got over it. Do you have any idea how I'm feeling right now? An unknown force just reverse engineered me to life out of a blizzard of faster-than-light particles. I'm sorry if I seem a little abstract.
A familiar smile broke out across his face, and he hugged his nephew warmly.
The curse of the Flash family. Everything gets done on the run, and life happens in the rearview mirror. My God, it's good to see you, Wally.
He stepped back to take a better look at his former protege.
The costume suits you. Looks like things got out of hand around here pretty rapidly, huh? Hope you're ready to save the world like we used to.
I have a wife and kids. I have to find them in all this.
Don't worry. They made it to safety. Flash fact. What's this now?
The Flashes spun toward the sound and found themselves confronted by a shocking tableau. A quartet of costumed women blocked the street behind them. Three of them were mounted atop immense armored hellhounds. The fourth woman had no need of a steed. Over 60 feet tall, she towered over the nearby buildings like a monster from a 1950s drive-in movie. An ape mask concealed her features, but Wally immediately identified her as Giganta, one of Wonder Woman's arch enemies. A skull and crossbones was printed on her sloping brow. Bushels of wild auburn hair cascaded past her massive shoulders. A brown leather harness encased her gargantuan figure. It was her mammoth boots that had rocked the asphalt. Wally thought he recognized the other woman as well, but only barely. Wonder Woman sat astride a huge white mastiff, brandishing a blood-stained spear. Ivory tusks sprouted from the porcine mask, covering the bottom half of her face. The pitted bronze shield she held bore an embossed Omega symbol. Dull red eyes held no trace of her usual wisdom and humanity, and sweat glistened upon her oiled muscles.
Diana?
Flanking her atop their own rabbit mounts were Catwoman, that new Batwoman from Gotham City. Both women had also been transformed in disturbing ways. Catwoman's purple latex bodysuit looked even more like SM gear than usual. A kinky panoply of cinched leather straps and buckles bound her tightly to the costume. Razor-sharp barbs tipped her recently made her debut in Gotham, but he doubted that she usually fought crime with a ball gag in her mouth and a deadly-looking laser pistol in her grip. A mane of curly red hair was piled above her bat-winged mask, like she'd just been jolted with electricity. A scarlet bat symbol was impressed upon the chest of a black rubber suit, although her scalloped cape was missing. Her head was cocked oddly to one side, giving her a slightly brain-damaged aspect.
You know these ladies? Oh, not like this. What's happened to them?
Wonder Woman pointed her spear at the Flashes.
Superheroes, kill!
The female Furies galloped at the shocked heroes.
Raid, Furies, raid!
Still exhausted from their headlong sprint through time, the Flashes couldn't shake their pursuers as easily as they might have before. The Hellhounds and their Amazonian riders chased after the Flashes with surprising speed. The Omega symbol on Wonder Woman's shield flashed like a police car's signal light, maybe a tracking device. Giganta's redwood-sized legs carried her entire blocks in a single stride. As he raced through the city with the Furies hot on their heels, Wally was dismayed to see that all of Keystone appeared to have gone to hell. Memorials and statues had been overturned. Churches, libraries, and museums had been reduced to burnt-out husks. Thick black smoke billowed from the chimneys of ugly factories and crematoriums. Obey Darkseid, a stadium marquee exhorted. Your life is anti-life. A deserted construction site loomed before them. Barry signaled Wally to head for the yard. They vibrated through a chain-link fence, only a few blocks ahead of the Furies. Moving at super speed, Barry unwound a length of steel cable from a heavy metal drum.
Grab the other end!
Although it had been years since they had last teamed up as the Flash and Kid Flash, Wally instantly grasped what Barry had in mind. He hastily wrapped his own end of the cable against an upright steel girder and waited for the nightmarish hunting party to catch up with them.
I hope this works. I need to get this slip before we can check on Raiden and the kids.
The Flashes didn't have to wait long. Within seconds, Wonder Woman and the others came charging toward the construction site. They tore through the fencing like it wasn't even there, trampling it beneath the paws of their rabid mounts. Only Wonder Woman spotted the trap before them. She pulled back hard on the reins of her hound and fell behind her predatory sisters. Her command came too late. Sheer momentum carried the other Furies forward into the taut hawser cable strung across the site. Batwoman and Catwoman pitched forward, thrown from their saddles. A half-finished building was flattened beneath Giganta's colossal body.
It worked! The bigger they are,
Super speed blade. Tracking.
Wonder Woman.
The electronic voice emanated from her shield.
She can track us no matter how fast we are.
The Amazon hefted her spear. Runners of arcane energy crackled along its length.
Oh, you didn't see that.
Harry dodged the lance a split second before it would have impaled him.
Go, Wally, run!
Before the Furies could recover fully from their tumble, the Flashes disappeared like twin streaks of scarlet lightning. Adrenaline gave Wally a second wind, allowing them to escape the fiendish hunting party for good. He still found it hard to accept just who they were running from.
That was really her, Barry. It was Wonder Woman. Like I said, the entire multiverse is avalanching into oblivion. We have to save everyone.
Taking the lead, Barry headed for Central City.
We start with family.
Washington, D.C.
Quiet. Don't let them hear you.
Mark Richards tugged his dreadlock teenage son behind a rack of ski jackets, out of view of the sport shop's shattered front window. They hid inside the abandoned retail outlet, while red-eyed zombies shuffled by outside. The lights were off inside the store. Richards counted on the murky shadows to help conceal them from the brainwashed stormtroopers patrolling the streets. Ever since the anti-life equation had gone global, turning pretty much the whole world into a police state, keeping one's head down was all that mattered. It pissed him off that his boy hadn't figured that out yet.
But I heard them all turn away.
Only 13 years old, Leon already thought he knew better than his old man. He toted a sniper rifle they had just looted from the hunting department. Fresh ammo way down the pockets of his sagging jeans.
They're chasing somebody else.
Shh! Richards grabbed Leon by the neck and slammed him into a nearby checkout counter. A scorpion tattoo twitched irritably on the man's forearm.
They're chasing us, boy. They have justifiers everywhere.
The Justifiers were the jackbooted enforcers of the new regime. They use the anti-life equation to justify their brutal treatment of anyone who defied Darkseid's will.
I told you, I heard them.
Richards crept over to the window, unconsciously fingering the dog tags around his neck.
Yeah. Maybe you're right after all.
He barely recognized the city outside. The Omega symbol was on every wall and billboard. Derelict cars rusted at the curbs. The formerly busy streets were devoid of traffic. Thick black smog blotted out the sun as blank-faced pedestrians trudged along the sidewalks. No one laughed, or cursed, or spoke. A levitating armored gunship cruised above the desolate avenue, its searchlight shining down on the hapless people. Richard spotted a bright electric flash above the gunship.
Something's going on up ahead.
A figure in a skin-tight blue and black uniform.
Right.
From an upper-story window.
We've got the body. We now need the wings.
A canvas bag was slung over the man's shoulder.
Like I said, well, I could put a skateboard in there somewhere, but the wings need to be put on. The tail needs to be put there somewhere. So let's do that. A quick slurp from me tea though. See if anybody's joining me.
Whether to defend or attack Black Lightning, his father wasn't sure.
Put that down. You won't be coming after us.
Oh, well then, if you're still here, Morningsgate, why the nail varnish? Because it's Inktober, and I thought, oh, why not?
Yeah, I know.
It's black. It's not like it's pink or anything, dude.
You got one of them under that suit. Not one of us. He's some dude like us.
Makes my hand look like a little bit more butter. We're here on the. Thank you, mate. It didn't look that well. Let's just pause that. He didn't look that good until I put the head there, because I was happy with the knees and the clothes and stuff, and the arm here was doing my head in. This arm looked good, but I didn't know what his pose was going to be, because the whole looking down thing was kind of ruined by going too high with the shoulder. But yeah, thank you very much, Matt. I got to put the wings in now, so that's going to be interesting. Wingers. Could they be out or could they be down? Kind of on the floor, but you want to kind of have them up. Same with that side. Where would it be? It wouldn't be there. It'd be probably there. I like it in the ground. Yeah, I thought stabbing it into the ground was kind of cool. A good idea. Thank you very much for liking that. Kind of not sure where to go next with it though. That looks fine. That'll do. It's kneeling down on the ground. We'll put some shadow in there as well to show that he's on the ground. He's not just half hovering, but yeah, you can see that it is. But well, I'll put some other detail in there. Now I've done the main character. I'm kind of happy with the way that looks. Wings. How big shall I make your wings? Do I have them down like that? Because if they're down like that, they're like that, and it's gonna be like this, or like this. You kind of, are you stabbing down or are you pulling out the ground? Oh, I almost forgot to put the word bloody horns in. Got to put horns in. There we go. Holds. Almost as good as your drawing. You sure? You saw you drew. You got your PC. Everybody's seen that, by the way. As soon as you sent it to me, I was like, "Wow, I'm gonna have a look at that," because it was exactly what I needed for inspiration. Right, I need wings. I just don't know where to start with them. If I have them here, wing could stop there and then come down. But if you're pulling, even if you're, it'd be like wah and wah, or wah and wah. Wah. And you twonk. That's not where the wing would be. It'd be here. And wah. Right, we have to fix that somehow. No, we don't. We'll turn it into something else. Oh, that's 50 minutes, so I'm going to record. Give me a second. Alexa, stop. So yeah, whoops, I did a bit of a whoopsie, but we'll try and we'll change that a little bit. The wings, so if they're going up now, they can either, oh, what's up with that? I did, didn't I? If it goes up and then comes back down, where would the rest of the wing be? If it comes up and then goes out, the wings are stretched out and they're coming out like that. Right, now we've got a pair of wings. Oh, just got to flesh them out now. Let's have a stare at that. Don't need any references. And then again, should I get some references for wings? It might help. Do we have a second? What I did learn about wings is they kind of fold 3 times. So they fold here, and they also got to fold here. That goes sort of in a triangle here, and then that's how it folds out. But that's not how my wings fold out, so we're not gonna do that. Should have drawn that, but I think this will be just as difficult. Okay, let's get some more of that on because I've gone really quiet. Yeah, let's get some more of that going.
Into the blacktop, only seconds before the downed aircraft exploded behind him. A fireball erupted only a few yards away from where the man lay dazed upon the asphalt. You can't just watch.
Alexa,
Richards
set me 50 minutes on a timer.
15 minutes, starting now.
Alexa, set me 50 minutes on a timer.
Second timer, 50 minutes, starting now.
The blaze against his face.
You should have brought your sister.
They sprinted down the pavement, but they weren't the only ones after Black Lightning. A squadron of Justifiers poured out of the burning gunship. Ominous steel helmets covered their faces. Scorched armor protected them from the flames. They brandished high-tech energy pistols.
Alpha target acquired.
Reptilian green scales covered one Justifier's brawny torso in lieu of body armor. His scaly height and size marked him as Killer Croc, one of Batman's most savage foes.
Superhuman code designate. Black Lightning. Electrical field manipulator. Level 12.
Heedless of the spreading conflagration, the Justifiers marched toward the fallen hero.
Wear the helmet. Be like us. Be justified.
They targeted Black Lightning with their sidearms. Killer Croc lumbered forward, bearing an empty helmet in his huge webbed claws.
Life is a question. Anti-life is the answer.
Damn it. Again Against his better judgment, the tattooed man stripped off his grimy white beater, revealing the living tattoos covering every inch of his upper body. Animated knives and throwing stars sprang at the unsuspecting justifiers. Razor-sharp points found the chinks in the soldier's armor. Blood spurted onto the asphalt.
Warning, superhuman. Designate unknown.
Richards peeled a broadsword off his back.
Designate this, you bastards.
An entire arsenal of angry tattoos flew off his skin. Vampire bats flapped at the startled soldiers, snapping at their arms and legs with their bloodthirsty fangs. Cartoon bombs and sticks of dynamite exploded at their feet. Cobwebs snarled the Justifiers' helmets, blinding them. Rattlesnakes and cobras injected them with inky venom. Croc lunged at the tattooed man, only to find a length of barbed wire tangled around his leg. Richards drove the disoriented stormtroopers back with his sword, even as Leon pulled Black Lightning to safety.
Gotta be the dumbest move I've ever made. The four horsemen of the apocalypse on the streets. Invasion of the body snatchers, space Nazi, anti-life, fire, and brimstone. And Mr. Justice League here makes us a target.
Opening his eyes, Black Lightning found himself lying on a cot in some sort of basement or furnace room. A naked light bulb hanging from the ceiling cast the only light in the room. A large oil-burning furnace chugged in the corner. The size of the burner suggested it was intended to heat an entire building, not just a private residence. Unpacked boxes of school supplies and a heap of damaged desks practically screamed grade school to the groggy hero, who had once taught high school in Metropolis. Not entirely sure how he'd gotten here, he kept still as he tried to take stock of the situation. Mark Richards' family, his wife, and a teenage buoyant girl stood around him, looking tense and frightened. A Glock semi-automatic pistol was tucked into Richards' waistband.
You all know how I feel about these people. If I had my way, we'd kill and eat the bastard.
Mark?
I'm only saying he's trouble, Michelle. Costumes equal trouble. Special powers club never brought nobody nothing but grief.
According to the JLA's files, the former Marine had acquired his living tattoos in the remote Balkan kingdom of Medora, where he had mastered the arcane art of sin grafting. The restless illustrations supposedly embodied the sins of all the men he had killed, both in war and in his new career as professional assassin. It was all a bit mystical for Black Lightning's tastes, but there was no denying the tattooed man's singular ability. Those tats were more than just ink. Black Lightning sat up, swinging his legs onto the floor, only to be overcome by a sudden wave of dizziness. He grabbed onto the edge of the cot to steady himself. He took in the scene through his yellow-tinted goggles. The tattooed man and his family were standing over by the furnace. The latest edition of the Daily Planet, now an illegally published samizdat, was in Richards' hands. A defiant banner headline read, "Bloodhaven, here we come." It looked to Black Lightning that Richards was going to feed the papers to the furnace.
Don't just burn those papers. People struggled hard to make them.
What are you saying? You think we don't read? I'm just some dumb supervillain wiping his ass on the printed word? That's the first thing you think? I just saved your life, and I get judged?
Mark, calm down.
I'm sorry. Thanks for the assist. Ugh. I was on my way to the Hall of Justice when a Justifier brigade appeared out of nowhere. Jumping out of the window onto that gunship was the only viable escape route.
He surveyed the furnace room. Canned food and ammunition were stored on the shelves.
You and your family have done pretty well to survive this long in a world that doesn't even belong to us anymore.
The world never belonged to people like me, superstar. What else is new?
Black Lightning rose from the cot and straightened his shoulders.
Why the hero pose? You leaving?
We're all leaving. Pack only essentials. If you stay here, Justifier patrols will almost certainly find you in a matter of hours.
The daughter, who looked to be about 17 years old, glanced nervously at her dad. A plastic headband held a pile of curly black hair in place. A white belly shirt and low-rise jeans looked like standard high school apparel.
Dad, my bag's been ready for days.
What? Where did all this come from, Laurel? You all decided on something without talking to me?
Laurel retrieved a blue carry-all bag from the corner.
Sorry, my dad really hates superheroes.
Yeah, I got that impression.
A stuffed teddy bear was crammed into a side pocket of Laurel's bag, alongside various notebooks and CDs.
You should probably leave most of that stuff. This is a school, right? Is there a bus?
The bus was parked in a garage at the rear of the school. Racks of tools lined the auto shop. Grease and motor oil stained the hard concrete floor. The bright yellow school bus looked like it was in pretty good shape, but the tattooed man still wasn't convinced they needed to evacuate.
We survived 2 weeks on our own without you or any of your JLA buddies.
Black Lightning was climbing into the driver's seat.
Told you before, the battery's dead.
Not a problem. Stand back.
It sent a jolt of electricity through the steering wheel into the battery.
No, we're safe here. We got everything we need to survive here until it's over.
Look, this won't be over until each and every one of us chooses to resist. Darkseid is remaking...
I haven't been doing TikTok. Oh well, never mind. I'll just take pictures again.
more and more justifiers all the time. It's time to leave.
Don't tell me what to do. I can take care of my own family.
But Mark, we're not safe here. We're trapped, waiting to die, waiting to be eaten by whatever the superheroes couldn't stop this time.
Oh, Michelle, not you too.
Listen to your wife, Mr. Richards.
Come out wherever you are! Justify your lives to Darkseid!
Oh, hell.
Time to settle up. Everybody get in.
Okay, right. What else can I do for the foreground just to make it so it doesn't look so empty?
Garage door into the parking lot beyond. A chain link fence enclosed the lot. Black Lightning didn't ask Richards to unlock it. He drove right through it instead. The Justifiers already had their scent.
Do like that though, so I'm going to take a quick picture of that without the shading at first. I don't know if I need to shade much of this though, more of this is going to be in the colour I think, but I was wrong yesterday.
Behind the wheel, Black Lightning quickly oriented himself. New names like Armageddon Avenue and Fire Pit Alley had been scrawled over the street signs, but he thought he knew where he was. He turned onto Darkside Drive, heading for the highway. The sooner they got beyond the Beltway, the better.
It's not stabbing it into anybody, just stabbing it into the ground, not wearing the glove, don't need to add that in. Skateboard could be here somewhere. Just to sort of give it a ground. Where would Horizon be? Where is he? Where is he? Where is he?
Blazing burst of heat scorched the back windows. Get down! Richards hauled himself down the length of the bus and gave the door from his jeans. He took out the wide rear window, then fired at the mounted Justifiers right behind them. Trouble! What'd I tell you? Leon joined his father at the back of the bus. Crouching beside him on the rear seat, he shot at the Justifiers with a handgun of his own.
Watch your language, boy.
Leon tossed another pistol to his sister. The hellhounds pulled up alongside the speeding bus, closing in on them from both the left and the right. Michelle and Laurel ducked for cover as the dog's riders opened fire on the vehicle. Sizzling energy blasts flew out the side windows. Black Lightning searched the road with Lynn. Up ahead, the elevated thoroughfare overlooked I-395 below. A concrete barrier guarded the rocky slope leading down to the lower expressway, which led north out of the city.
Hold on tight, everybody.
He swung the wheel hard to the right. The side of the bus slammed into the Justifier and his K9 Steed, and both went somersaulting over the railing. Black Lightning floored the gas pedal. Laurel peered over the back of the driver's seat. Her eyes bulged as she realized what he had in mind.
What's happened there?
The bus plowed right through the concrete barrier. The jarring impact almost tossed Black Lightning to his seat, but he held onto the wheel with all his strength and kept his foot on the gas. Vogel worked to
Let's have a think.
as the bus careened down the slope onto the highway below.
Get the thing going according to plan up there, superhero? Sit down and shut up. Don't make me turn this bus around.
Unfortunately, they weren't out of the woods yet. A fleet of patrol cars, the Omega symbol freshly painted on their sights by the galvanic storm. What the hell? Richards grabbed onto the window frame. Ow! Only to be jolted by a flash of residual electricity.
On fire!
What to do?
I can make electricity dance like Beyonce. You want some more?
The Third Street tunnel appeared before them. Dark, impenetrable shadows filled its open mouth.
Thank God.
The blazing bus lurched to a halt while Black Lightning jumped from his seat and kicked open the door.
Everybody out! Before the tank goes up!
Move! Flames engulfed the bus right behind them and smoke billowed as they dashed toward the gaping maw of the tunnel.
Far end of the tunnel is no man's land. A disputed territory Darkseid's forces haven't managed to lay claim to yet. My daughter Anissa is there with a Shade Emergency Relief Division. A chopper will ferry you to Watchtower 3.
Anissa Pierce, better known as Thunder, was a superheroine in her own right, having inherited her metahuman abilities from her father. Black Lightning had contacted her to arrange this rendezvous shortly before being ambushed by the Justifiers earlier. The glow from the burning bus lit up the entrance, partially dispelling the murky gloom beyond. Discarded cars clotted the narrow lanes, forcing the party to squeeze between them. Black Lightning hung back, guarding the rear of the Exodus, while Richards and his family rushed ahead. Hostile energy blasts suddenly ricocheted up the concrete walls. Glancing back, Black Lightning saw a pack of Justifiers chasing after them on foot. A high-voltage barrage drove them back, but probably not for long. Zapping all those police cars had taken a lot out of him. He was running low on juice. Ammunition to recharge. Ozone and smoke filled the air. Weighed down by her overstuffed bag, Laurel started to lag behind.
It's a princess. Leave the bag.
I'm okay.
Loose CDs and journals spilled onto the pavement. Frantically, she scooped them back into the bag.
Anti-life justifies my pain. Justify yours.
Through the haze, a Justifier appeared. Captured aim at the kneeling girl.
Laurel!
The tattooed man unleashed his powers. The Justifier went down, buried beneath an avalanche of nightmares made solid.
Oh crap! What have I done?
Richards took her in his arms and led her away from the disturbing sight.
We need a barrier to buy us some time.
Black Lightning had the driver door of an abandoned car open and started moving it toward another car sprawled sideways in the tunnel.
How about you set your shoulder to the wheel, Richard? See, this is what I'm talking about. You've given out orders like it's all natural.
Richards watched his family scurry down the tunnel toward safety.
It's fabulous, but we only got 100 yards to go. Because without this, we won't make the 100 yards. Take a look.
Richards peered past Black Lightning. More Justifiers were approaching.
Crap.
He joined Black Lightning behind an empty SUV. Working together, they flipped the heavy gas pedal onto its side, forming a crude barricade between them and the Darkseid soldiers.
Alexa, stop.
Okay. Therefore we say no to all that. Two men crouched behind the overturned SUV. You have to promise me something, Mr. Richards. There's something I need you to memorize. The circuit. I don't care what you think about me, but this isn't just some turf war between my side and yours. Our world, our entire reality, is transforming into the broken, deranged expression of an alien will. And we all have to fight it. He held up his hand. A peculiar symbol was scrawled in what looked like magic marker on the back of his glove. I want you to look at this drawing. Don't forget it. Symbols have power, and you should know better than most.
Keep your crazy talk to yourself.
Listen, Richards. This is vital intel that needs to get to the JLA. If I don't make it because your family's safety took priority, it's up to you to get the job done. He shoved the marked-up glove to the other man's face. You got that? What? At first, Richards thought that one of the Justifiers had gotten off a lucky shot. Then he realized that the bullet had come from behind him. He spun around to see his son standing a few yards back, holding his smoking pistol with both hands.
Leon?
I heard you fighting.
Put that goddamn thing away.
He yanked the gun from the boy's trembling grip.
What the hell were you thinking?
I didn't mean it anyway. I don't know what I meant. I did it for you, Dad.
you! Run!
Black Lightning sagged against the exposed underside of the SUV, clutching his bleeding arm. With his good arm, he hurled a stray thunderbolt at the advancing Justifiers.
I can hold them off for a few more minutes. Don't forget, Richard. Use the short circuit patch. It's up to you now. Now go!
The Justifiers were upon them. Killer Croc held out an empty helmet.
Run!
The tattooed man grabbed his son and ran.
Anti-life is the answer.
That's the last we saw of him.
Michelle Richards sat between her children aboard the Shade chopper. Emergency blankets were draped over their shoulders. Troopers in Kevlar body armor filled the benches inside the passenger compartment.
Sorry about your father. He was a good man.
Vanessa Pierce, known as Thunder, wore a black and yellow uniform that mimicked her father's colors. Curly, dark brown hair tumbled past her shoulders. Golden lightning bolts embellished the front of her costume, as well as the lobes of her ears. She got in the face of the Shade commander.
We have to go back! Put us down! I need to go back for my dad!
Negative, Thunder. We need all our metas for the Omega Initiative. Speaking of which, what happened to your husband, Miss Richards?
He didn't come with us. He said he had something to do. A choice he had to make. You see, he finally realized what I always knew. Mark Richards was never a villain. Not really. He was a superhero. All along.
Washington, D.C. An army of Justifiers lay siege to the Hall of Justice. Their steel helmets and armor eradicated their former identities as they assaulted the JLA's headquarters with rifles, hammers, battering rams, and pounding metal gauntlets. A powerful force field, generated by 31st century technology borrowed from the Legion of Superheroes, held them off. A blast of intense heat and light momentarily repelled the mob, and the force field powered down. Long enough for a single battered figure to be thrown towards open doors. The doors closed behind the newcomer, and the force field powered back into place. Bursts of energy flashed across the surface of the invisible barrier wherever the Justifier's weapons smashed against it.
Okay, that's one delivery taken care of.
A second later, his body literally transformed into light. The ray bounced off the League's orbital satellite and used the reflective underside of the space station to beam himself through the force field of the Hall of Justice 200 miles below. He shivered briefly in the hall's main foyer before solidifying back into flesh and blood. A bright gold helmet with a fin-shaped crest hid his face. Gold trim accented his black leather uniform, and a striped flap crossed the front of his jacket. A flared collar fanned out behind his head. Two heavy leather satchels, bulging with freshly printed Daily Planet newspapers, were slung over his shoulders.
Paperboy!
Holy crap, kid, that was a close one. I thought you just needed to turn into a beam of light to get past the field.
Green Arrow had just finished powering up the force field. A quiver of arrows was strapped to Oliver Queen's back, and his customary green hood shadowed his features.
Easy for me, but that guy's solid.
Ray Terrell pointed at the sprawled figure he had hurled through the doors moments before. A tough-looking black guy wearing a ragged tank top and torn blue jeans, the tattooed stranger looked like he'd been through the wars. Ray had spotted him trying to fight his way through the mob outside to reach the safety of the shielded headquarters. A timely solar blast had given the man the break he needed to get to the entrance.
No way I was leaving him to the Justifiers.
Yeah, well, you just rescued the tattooed man.
Right, time for bulking out the everything. So let's record again.
He's a Trojan horse for the bad guys. Probably led him straight to us.
Like hell I did. And I got a name. Mark Richards, all right. I'm an anti-life survivor.
You want the word from Black Lightning or not?
Black Lightning? What would he be doing with secret society cannon fodder like you? And this had better be good.
Superheroes. It's the end of the world, and you still act like you own it. Green Arrow eased off and let Richards clamber to his feet.
Don't try anything funny. Come with me. I think the others are going to want to hear about this. You too, kid.
Ray hoisted the lumpy newspaper bags and followed Green Arrow and the tattooed man into the Justice League's gleaming conference room. A handful of people were gathered around a stainless steel round table. As they entered, Black Canary was handing a glass of water to Oracle. Ray couldn't help noticing how tense and tired everyone appeared. Two anxious-looking women were seated nearby. A pair of costumed kids, a girl and a boy, were playing tag around the table. The tattooed man glanced around like he was casing the joint.
Pretty Bird, the Resistance has company. Time to move out before Darkseid's mind control cops move in.
Green Arrow gestured at the two women in civilian clothing. An attractive young Asian woman in her mid-20s and an older woman with gray hair and a worried expression.
Ray, T-Man, meet Linda and Joan, the Flash Widows Club. Sorry, bad joke. Linda's kids, Jai and Iris. Oracle, I imagine you know. Barbara was in hiding, holding down the fort here at HQ when the rest of us rolled into Washington under the cover of darkness.
The little boy, who wore a form-fitting yellow uniform and mask, gazed up at the newcomers.
Whoa, the Ray! Cool. Have you seen her dad?
His big sister Iris wore a matching yellow costume. Her long red hair presumably came from her father's side of the family.
I heard that the original Flash evacuated a whole town single-handed in minutes, but that's all I know.
He glanced over at Joan Garrick, who returned a weak smile. He wished he could offer Linda and her kids some comforting news regarding the modern Flash, but nobody had seen Wally West since before the world went to hell.
Almost forgot why I'm here. Have you seen the new edition of The Planet yet?
It still comes out?
They have a printing press in Superman's Fortress of Solitude. To be honest, we thought the Hall of Justice was under occupation.
May I?
Black Canary claimed the paper, which was only 4 pages long. The front page featured a color photo of a team of resistance fighters bravely holding their thumbs up. The motley crew was comprised of U.S. soldiers, atomic knights, checkmate agents, shade commandos, and a few renegade superheroes and villains. A belligerent headline proclaimed, "Bloodhaven, here we come." The article below was credited to James Bartholomew Olson.
The planet's all we've got now. Now that all electronic media are broadcasting anti-life 24 hours a day.
She lifted her gaze from the newsprint. Weary black circles shadowed her striking blue eyes. Last the Ray had heard, she was still the current leader of the Justice League.
Give me some good news, Ray. What happened to the Bloodhaven strike force?
He was afraid someone was going to ask that. Bloodhaven. The pestilential landscape above Command D had become a slaughterhouse. The butchered remains of the strike force were strewn about the rubble like broken toys. Carrion birds picked at the bloody carcasses of dead pony dogs. Atomic knights, checkmate foot soldiers, and other fatalities had been left to rot where they fell, alongside a few sadly expendable superheroes. Negative Woman slumped lifelessly against a shattered concrete pillar, her blonde hair obscuring her bandaged face. Mr. Bones lay in pieces upon the broken pavement, his skeletal features making it look like he'd already died years before. A crow picked one of Count Vertigo's eyes from its socket. Corpses were frozen in agonized contortions, hinting at the use of some vile nerve agent. Justifiers in gas masks prowled the battlefield, looking in vain for survivors. A toxic yellow haze hung over the post-apocalyptic wasteland. Dozens of feet below, in the underground bunker, Dan Turpin witnessed the carnage via an elevated view screen. He was held fast to a mechanical throne by a web of plastic tubing, wires, and catheters. Electrodes monitored his vital signs. Stripped to his waist, he slumped upon the throne, barely able to hold up his head, which felt unbearably heavy. Feverish, he felt his body drying from the inside out. Rivers of sweat failed to cool his baking flesh. The ghastly images on the screen made it even harder to combat, with despair flooding his soul.
I'll never give up. There's always hope. Remarkable. The superhumans huddle in their holes, afraid to face us. Yet this ordinary maggot battles on alone against anti-life infection.
Reverend Godfrey Good looked like he had aged 15 years since they had first arrived at Command E. Deep wrinkles creased his haggard face, and rheumy eyes regarded Turpin. He leaned heavily on a walking stick and dabbed at his brow with a damp handkerchief.
The incubation phase demands the ruin of a powerful, noble spirit. But if this mortal continues to resist... The bodies we wore in the fourth world before its fall will fit for prime selectors. But this rotting, wheezing engine of meat?
Well said, Mr. Simeon.
Makeup stained the cigarette holder with which Mokari languidly gestured.
Zealots of the cult of Simeon and Mokari toil without rest on evil factory production lines across the planet, building brave new bodies for the fifth world.
So, my night missionaries spread the gospel of anti-life to every living soul. My devotees far outnumber yours. As if Darkseid will favor you filthy wretches when he finally incarnates.
Oh, who knows, Godfrey? Maybe he'll favor Granny Goodness, now spreading our contagion to the stars. Let us not forget, the cosmic power battery of the Guardians of the Universe is within her grasp. Or Calabac here, the savage son of Darkseid.
I think I'm going to stop there because I've got pretty much all that I want design-wise down, and I don't think it needs that much shading. So that's my image and my picture for Inktober 2020 on day 5. The word was blade. I used the blade that I've created for my OC, or my son's original character, called Morningscape. He's holding the wing blade, and there's the wing blade, and there's the polymer clay. Again, if you missed any of those, there will be links at the end if you're watching back. But otherwise, I have recorded this, and I will be colouring this one off stream. So don't forget to hit that subscribe, ding the bell for notifications, and see how it turns out when I put a little bit of colour to it. Otherwise, guys, thank you very much for watching. Hit that subscribe, ding the bell for notifications when I'll be back live again tomorrow, and check out the playlists. Bye for now.